Welcome the spicy ladies. A strong woman doesn't seek to destroy. She simply refuses to be destroyed. There is one personality type that a Sigma female will always dismantle without even trying. Not out of malice, not out of arrogance, but because her very existence makes this type crumble. Sigma females move through life with quiet power, deep intelligence, and an unshakable sense of self. They don't conform, they don't chase approval, and they certainly don't entertain weakness disguised as confidence. The truth is, some people thrive on manipulation, control, or validation. They build their identity on how others see them. But the Sigma female doesn't play by those rules. She doesn't play games at all. She walks into a room and shifts the energy, making the insecure more insecure, the fake more obvious, and the weak more fragile. It's not her words that destroy, it's her presence. If you are a spicy lady Sigma female, you already know this. You've seen people shrink when you don't react to their mind games. You've watched so-called powerful personalities unravel when they realize they hold no power over you. You've stood in silence while others lost their composure, trying to shake you. But let this be a reminder. You don't have to apologize for who you are. Keep standing firm. Keep moving forward. Those who can't keep up will fall away. And the ones who remain, they are the only ones worthy of your time. Let's get started. The spicy ladies. Number 1, the fake nice person. The fake nice person hides behind a mask of politeness. They smile, compliment, and act agreeable. But beneath the surface, their kindness isn't genuine. It's a tool. They don't help others out of real goodwill. They do it for validation, influence, or hidden agendas. Their friendliness is calculated, their generosity conditional, and their charm designed to manipulate. Most people fall for it, mistaking their forced niceness for sincerity. But a Sigma female, she sees right through it. She doesn't judge people by their words, she watches their actions. She notices the subtle contradictions, the forced enthusiasm, the way their kindness fades when there's nothing to gain. She listens when they talk about others behind their backs, when their so-called generosity comes with invisible strings, when their compliments feel rehearsed rather than real. And the moment she senses insincerity, they lose all value in her eyes. What makes it worse for them is that they don't even realize when they've been exposed. Sigma females don't confront fake people with accusations or dramatic call-outs, they simply disengage. They stop responding, stop entertaining the act, stop giving the fake nice person the reaction they crave. And without attention to feed their performance, their mask starts to slip. At first, they may try harder, increasing the flattery, pushing for connection, doing whatever it takes to prove their supposed goodness. But Sigma females don't fall for desperation. The more someone tries to convince her of their kindness, the more suspicious she becomes. And when they finally realize their act isn't working, frustration sets in. The charm turns into bitterness, the smiles disappear, and their true nature, self-serving, manipulative, and empty, is revealed. By then, it's too late. A Sigma female doesn't give second chances to those who deceive. She doesn't engage with those who play games. And once she sees someone's true nature, there's no going back. The fake nice person who once thrived on fooling others finds themselves powerless in front of someone who was never fooled to begin with. Number 2, the hyper-competitive rival. The hyper-competitive rival thrives on comparison. They measure their worth by being better, faster, stronger, always needing to outshine, always needing to win. Their confidence isn't built on real self-assurance, but on the need to be seen as superior. Every interaction becomes a silent contest, every achievement a chance to prove something. But when they try to challenge a Sigma female, they quickly realize they're running a race she's not even in. She doesn't seek validation through competition. She isn't interested in proving herself to people who measure success through external approval. She moves on her own terms, focused on her own growth, her own path. When someone tries to outdo her, she doesn't react because in her world, there is no competition. She isn't playing the game, and that alone makes her impossible to beat. This drives the hyper-competitive rival insane. They try harder, pushing more, making their wins louder, their success more visible, hoping she will finally notice, finally engage. But she doesn't. She simply keeps going, unaffected, unbothered. And in the end, the only person drained by the rivalry is the one who created it. What frustrates them the most is that she succeeds without the need to compare. Her achievements aren't about beating others, they're about personal mastery. She doesn't chase trophies, titles, or recognition. She builds, evolves, and moves forward, completely detached from the exhausting need to be the best. And when the hyper-competitive rival finally realizes that no matter how hard they try, they will never get the reaction they crave from her, they are left with nothing but their own insecurity. Number 3. The entitled narcissist. The entitled narcissist thrives on being the center of attention. They expect admiration, obedience, and unwavering validation, often without offering anything of real value in return. Their world is built on the illusion of superiority, one they desperately need others to believe in. But when they encounter a Sigma female, that illusion shatters. A Sigma female doesn't operate on flattery or empty gestures. She isn't impressed by arrogance, nor does she entertain those who demand respect without earning it. While others might tolerate or even enable a narcissist's ego-driven games, she simply doesn't engage. Her silence, her lack of reaction, her refusal to cater to their need for control, it's like poison to them. Without an audience to reinforce their delusions, the narcissist feels powerless. What makes it worse for them is that a Sigma female doesn't even bother to put them in their place. She just exists in a way that makes their tactics useless. She sees through their grandiosity, their exaggerated self-importance, their attempts to manipulate and dominate. Instead of fighting back, she dismisses them completely, which is the one thing a narcissist cannot stand. Indifference is their kryptonite. They may try to provoke her, undermine her, or force her into a position of submission, but it never works. She remains unshaken, unimpressed, and utterly detached from their need for control. Over time, the entitled narcissist either self-destructs in frustration or quietly fades into irrelevance. The Sigma female doesn't destroy them with confrontation. She destroys them by refusing to acknowledge their false sense of power. In a world where narcissists rely on external validation to survive, being ignored is the worst kind of defeat. Number 4. The weak-willed yes man. The weak-willed yes man is someone who floats through life without a backbone, constantly seeking approval instead of making real decisions. They agree with everyone, avoid confrontation at all costs, and mold themselves into whatever others want them to be. While this might earn them temporary acceptance in certain circles, it holds no value in the presence of a Sigma female. To her, this kind of weakness is not just unappealing, it's intolerable. Sigma females thrive on independence, decisiveness, and self-respect. They don't follow the crowd, and they certainly don't respect those who do. When faced with a yes man, they see straight through the passive nature, the fear of standing alone, and the desperate need to be liked. Because a Sigma female refuses to cater to weakness, these people quickly realize they have no place in her world. She will not entertain their need for validation or guide them through life like a parent. If they can't stand firm on their own, they will fade into the background, unnoticed and forgotten. Yes men often mistake their compliance for likability, but to a Sigma female, it signals a complete lack of authenticity. She values those who think for themselves, who stand by their beliefs, and who have the courage to say no when necessary. Someone who bends to every opinion, avoids hard decisions, and fears rejection is not someone she will ever take seriously. She doesn't argue with them, correct them, or waste time trying to fix them. She simply walks away, and in doing so, exposes just how powerless they truly are. The yes man may survive in environments that reward conformity, but in the presence of a Sigma female, they become invisible. Number 5. The power-hungry alpha wannabe. The power-hungry alpha wannabe thrives on the illusion of dominance. They walk into a room with their chest puffed out, speaking loudly, demanding attention, and expecting instant respect. Their entire identity is built on appearing strong, not actually being strong. They mistake intimidation for leadership, arrogance for confidence, and control for influence. And while this act may work on those who are easily impressed, it fails miserably in front of a Sigma female. She doesn't respond to force, doesn't react to empty displays of power, and certainly doesn't shrink in the presence of an overcompensating ego. The moment a fake alpha tries to assert dominance over her, they've already lost. Their tactics, interrupting, talking over, flaunting status or money, or using aggression, are meaningless to someone who operates outside of social hierarchies altogether. A Sigma female doesn't submit, not because she's rebellious for the sake of it, but because she sees no one as superior to her. This realization alone is enough to shatter the fragile illusion the wannabe alpha depends on. What truly dismantles them is that she doesn't even need to fight back. She doesn't argue, she doesn't play into their power games, and she doesn't waste time proving herself. She simply exists in a way that makes their entire act look foolish. Her quiet confidence overshadows their forced bravado. Her intelligence makes their loud opinions seem uninformed. Her presence alone makes them feel smaller, weaker, and exposed. They may try harder, raising their voice, throwing insults, or attempting to belittle her, but it only makes their desperation more obvious. And when they realize she remains unbothered, unmoved, and unimpressed, it becomes clear they never had any real power to begin with. The moment they encounter a Sigma female, their entire persona crumbles, not because she attacks them, but because she never needed to acknowledge them in the first place. Number 6, the overly clingy romantic. The overly clingy romantic believes that love means constant closeness, never-ending attention, and emotional dependence. They need reassurance at every turn, checking in obsessively, needing to know where their partner is, what they are thinking, and how they feel at all times. They mistake attachment for love and control for care. But when they try this with a Sigma female, they are met with something they don't expect: distance. A Sigma female values love, but she values her freedom even more. She is not the type to be glued to someone, nor does she find excessive neediness endearing. If someone requires constant validation just to feel secure, she sees it as a red flag, not a sign of affection. She has no patience for emotional dependency, and she will not play the role of a caretaker for someone who lacks self-sufficiency. At first, the overly clingy romantic may believe she is just hard to get and try even harder to hold on. They will send more texts, ask more questions, demand more of her time, hoping that she will eventually break and give in. But this only speeds up their downfall. The more they push, the faster she detaches. The more they demand, the more she withdraws. She does not argue, explain, or reassure, she simply leaves. And by the time they realize what happened, she's already gone, left behind. They will overanalyze every moment, wondering where they went wrong. But the truth is simple. Love is not about possession, and she is not someone who can be smothered. She thrives in space, in trust, in a connection that doesn't feel like a cage. The ones who understand this may stand beside her. The ones who don't will always be left wondering why she slipped through their fingers without a single goodbye. Number 7, the social climber. The social climber is always calculating, always measuring relationships based on what they can gain. They don't build real connections. They collect people like trophies, aligning themselves with those they believe will elevate their status. Every conversation, every interaction, every gesture is carefully designed to serve their personal agenda. And while they may fool some, they never fool a Sigma female. She doesn't care about status, popularity, or the illusion of importance. She sees past the fake smiles, the strategic compliments, and the insincere efforts to get close. Unlike those who seek validation through social circles, she walks alone by choice, valuing depth over numbers. The moment she detects someone using her for clout, access, or influence, she cuts them off without hesitation. There's no confrontation, no dramatic fallout, just a silent, effortless disappearance from their world. This leaves the social climber scrambling. They were counting on her presence to boost their image, to attach themselves to her confidence, her reputation, her mystery. But Sigma females don't play that game. They have no interest in being stepping stones for the insecure or desperate. They don't entertain fake friendships, nor do they waste energy on people who only stick around when it's convenient. What makes it worse for the social climber is that they can't manipulate someone who doesn't need them. A Sigma female's value isn't determined by who she knows or what circle she moves in. It comes from within. The social climber, on the other hand, is entirely dependent on others for validation, and when that crumbles, so does their sense of self. By the time they realize they've been shut out, it's too late. The Sigma female has already moved on, unfazed, while they are left trying to climb a ladder that no longer exists. Number 8. The gossip-obsessed drama magnet. The gossip-obsessed drama magnet is always searching for their next story, their next victim, their next scandal to dissect. They live for whispers, secrets, and exaggerated tales, spinning minor details into major controversies just to keep things interesting. Their energy is chaotic, their presence exhausting, and their loyalty non-existent. They stir the pot, not out of curiosity, but out of a desperate need to feel important. But when they try to pull a Sigma female into their web of gossip, they hit a wall of indifference. Sigma females don't waste time on meaningless chatter, and they certainly don't engage in the petty politics of social circles. They see drama for what it is: a distraction, a trap, a desperate attempt to create relevance where there is none. When someone tries to bait them into rumors, they don't argue or defend themselves. They don't deny, react, or give the gossip any life. They simply refuse to participate. And without their engagement, the drama seeker is left talking to themselves, spinning stories that no one cares to hear. What frustrates the drama magnet the most is that a Sigma female is untouchable. She doesn't reveal personal details that can be weaponized. She doesn't entertain nonsense. She doesn't surround herself with people who thrive on toxicity. The more the gossip-obsessed try to drag her into the mess, the more irrelevant they become. They rely on people who are easily provoked, who fight back, who crave attention, but she is none of those things. When they realize they have no hold over her, their tactics escalate. They may spread false narratives, create conflicts out of thin air, or attempt to damage her reputation, but it never works. She doesn't defend what doesn't need defending. She lets time expose the truth while she continues moving forward. And in the end, the gossip-obsessed drama magnet is left exactly where they started, alone, talking to an audience that no longer exists. Number 9. The overbearing authority figure. The overbearing authority figure thrives on control. They expect obedience, demand submission, and assume their position alone entitles them to respect. Whether it's a boss who micromanages, a parent who enforces outdated rules, or a leader who governs through intimidation, their entire sense of power relies on others following without question. But when they encounter a Sigma female, their authority crumbles. She doesn't rebel for the sake of rebellion. She simply doesn't recognize forced power as legitimate. Titles mean nothing to her. She respects wisdom, competence, and true leadership, but she will never submit to someone just because they expect it. She operates outside the systems that overbearing figures use to control others, making their usual tactics completely ineffective. They try to assert dominance through strict rules, condescending lectures, or veiled threats, expecting her to conform like everyone else, but she doesn't push back in anger or waste time arguing. She just refuses to engage. She does her own thing, finds her own path, and makes it clear that their control stops where her independence begins. The more they try to tighten their grip, the more powerless they feel because nothing they do affects her. What frustrates them the most is that she isn't reckless or disrespectful. She simply moves through life as if their authority doesn't exist. If a boss tries to limit her, she'll find another opportunity. If a parent tries to control her choices, she'll silently carve out her own future. If a leader demands submission, she'll walk away without hesitation. She doesn't need permission to live on her terms, and by the time the overbearing authority figure realizes they have no hold over her, it's too late. Their power was never real. It only worked on those who believed in it. But a Sigma female never did, and that's why she can't be controlled. Number 10. The victimhood expert. The victimhood expert has built their entire identity around struggle. They don't seek solutions, they seek sympathy. Every setback is someone else's fault. Every failure is beyond their control, and every hardship is a reason to complain rather than adapt. They don't want advice, growth, or responsibility. They want endless validation for their helplessness. But when they cross paths with a Sigma female, their act falls apart. A Sigma female has no patience for self-pity. She has faced her own battles, endured pain, and found a way to rise without expecting the world to cushion her fall. She knows that life is unfair, that circumstances can be brutal, but she also knows that complaining changes nothing. She respects those who fight through adversity, not those who use it as an excuse to stay stagnant. So when someone tries to pull her into their cycle of endless complaints, they get nothing from her. No comfort, no enabling, no attention. What makes it worse for the victimhood expert is that she sees through them immediately. She knows the difference between someone truly struggling and someone addicted to their own misery. And when she refuses to engage, refuses to offer the reaction they crave, they feel exposed. Their usual tactics, guilt-tripping, emotional manipulation, playing helpless, have no effect on her. Instead of sympathy, they get silence. Instead of support, they get indifference. They may try harder, exaggerating their struggles, finding new ways to cast themselves as the unfortunate soul in every situation, but it never works. She doesn't entertain weak excuses. She doesn't reward learned helplessness. And eventually, they realize they have nothing to gain from her. Left without the validation they depend on, they are forced to do the one thing they fear most: face themselves. And in that moment, they understand why the Sigma female never related to them in the first place. Number 11, the fragile ego who can't handle criticism. The fragile ego is built on illusions of competence, intelligence, and superiority that only exist as long as they are never questioned. These individuals surround themselves with people who flatter them, who avoid uncomfortable truths, who tiptoe around their feelings to preserve their delicate sense of self. They live in a world where criticism is an attack, where being wrong is unthinkable, and where their ego must remain intact at all costs. But when they encounter a Sigma female, that illusion shatters. She doesn't soften her words to protect fragile feelings. She doesn't sugarcoat reality to make others comfortable. If something is wrong, she says it. If someone is being a fool, she calls it out. Not out of cruelty, but out of a deep respect for truth. She values honesty over social niceties and refuses to play the game of false praise just to keep egos intact. And for those who rely on constant validation, this is unbearable. At first, they may try to dismiss her as rude or insensitive, hoping to discredit her words instead of facing them. But deep down, they know she's right, and that's what breaks them. They can't argue with her logic, they can't manipulate her into retracting her statement, and they can't force her into apologizing for telling the truth. Their usual tactics, pouting, playing the victim, demanding apologies, fall flat in her presence. Some will lash out, calling her arrogant or heartless, hoping to provoke a reaction. Others will retreat, unable to process a reality where they are not as untouchable as they believed. But none of them walk away unchanged, because once the truth is spoken, it cannot be unheard. And whether they like it or not, the Sigma female just exposed them to something they were never prepared to face. Themselves, weakness in character, deception, and insecurity. Do not survive in the presence of a Sigma female. She doesn't destroy with aggression or loud confrontations. She dismantles illusions simply by being herself. She doesn't tolerate manipulation, blind obedience, or fragile egos that demand validation. She isn't interested in dominance games or shallow power plays. She stands firm in her truth, unmoved by the chaos of those who seek control, approval, or attention. And that is precisely why certain personalities cannot thrive around her. But here's the truth. Destruction isn't her goal. She isn't out to crush people or prove superiority. If anything, she offers a lesson to those willing to learn, a lesson in self-reliance, in authenticity, in the power of walking away from what doesn't serve you. Those who cling to weakness, deceit, and fear will find themselves exposed, uncomfortable, and ultimately left behind. Not because she hates them, but because they were never strong enough to stand beside her. For those who refuse to evolve, she is a force of reckoning. But for those who are willing to rise, she is a mirror reflecting what's possible. A Sigma female doesn't demand respect, she inspires it. She doesn't force change, she embodies it. And in the end, The only people she destroys are the ones too afraid to embrace their own power. Thank you for watching The Spicy Ladies, and God bless you.